Zach stood motionless, his gaze fixed on the drab interior of the holding cell at the FBI headquarters, where a man had taken his own life just a few hours ago. The hour was thick with the scent of industrial cleaners and a metallic taint that might have been blood or fear or both. Mike Walsh, a few paces away, clutched a nondescript bag, a brown bag containing the dead man's personal items. Found him at 0600. The guard, a blurry man with tired eyes, reported. He was hunched over, no signs of struggle. "Thank you," Zach said, barely acknowledging the guard as he stepped into the cell. The small space felt even more confined, now shadows clinging to the corners where the overhead lights didn't reach. He scanned the room, reconstructing the final moments within these walls. His eyes traced the path from the cot's rubber sheets of the stainless steel sink, then to the makeshift noose fashioned from torn fabric. "Did we get anything from him before this?" Zach asked, his voice steady despite the grim tablet before him. "Only a few minutes of questioning," Maya replied. He refused to talk, just sat there staring blankly ahead, defiant still till the end. Zach mused. This wasn't just a desperate act of self-destruction. It was a statement about the importance of the information they were after. Could have provided answers. Now he had taken them to the grave. Zach muttered under his breath, frustrating, lining his face. Any signs he was coerced or that someone came in here with him? Maya shook her head. I checked the camera. He was alone. Zach turned to the bag in Maya's hand. "Let's see what he left behind," he said, holding his hand out of the bag. His fingers brushed against Maya's briefly as she passed it to him, a fleeting connection in the midst of the violence and uncertainty. Zach opened the bag and began sifting through its content. A watch, a crumpled pack of cigarettes, a few coins. His fingers paused as they wrapped across the wallet. The weather aged, creased from use. "I'm assuming you already checked it out," he asked. Maya nodded. Zach unfolded the wallet carefully, feeling the tangible presence of a life now extinguished. The ID card displayed a photo of a man with a hollow gaze. The name David Riker embossed beneath it. Zach studied the face, committing every line to memory. "David Riker," he murmured, almost to himself before looking up at Maya. "But at least we can put a name to a face." "Except it's not his real name," Maya replied. "We ran his prints. His real name is Leo Gratz." "Leo Gratz," Zach repeated. He pondered the implication, flipping through the wallet for any more inconsistency. Gratz wasn't just some small-time thug trying to ride the coattails of a brotherhood, neither. Maya continued. Her arms were crossed, her posture professional yet alert. "Then who was he?" Zach asked. "A CIA agent," Maya said, the word dropping like a stone into still water. Rolled. His last known assignment was deep cover, working Eastern Europe. CIA agent, Zach echoed, letting the revelation sink in. A rogue government agent masquerading as a gang member. Just complicated things. And confused him, too. "Do we know anything about what he was involved in?" he asked. "Any idea why he was at that mansion?" Mike shook her head. "None. Whatever plan he was a part of. I have a feeling it doesn't end with Montrose or Angela Horowitz," Zach said, convincing, still in his voice. He flipped the wallet open again, his finger methodically working through its contents carefully as if they were the components of a bomb. The letter was worn at the edges, creased with the habitual opening and closing by hands that would never see sunlight again. He paused at the plastic card, its blue and yellow hues glaringly out of place among the dull grays and browns. "A New York Metro card," Maya asked. "Where was this guy's legal residence?" California, she replied without missing a beat, her gaze fixed on him. Never lived in New York. We checked. Then what's he doing with a Metro car? Zach murmured more to himself than to Maya, flipping the car between his fingers. It was new, hardly used. The magnetic strip barely stretched. His mind started churning, piecing together a jigsaw puzzle with too many missing pieces. He's from California, but carries a Metro card. Zach might ask, "What are you thinking?" "New York," he said abruptly, eyes aflame with the spark of realization. This could mean another attack. The Metro is a perfect target. Dense crowds containing environment. We need to get to New York now. Let's not jump to conclusions, Mike said. There's 1,000 reasons why he might have gotten a Metro card. Mike, we're not talking about a regular Joe here. This is a rogue CIA operative with ties to a notorious gang. Everything he had on his person, he had it there for a reason. We have to take this seriously. Mike stared at him for a few moments, looking ready to argue. Then she signed, "Okay, let's go, check it out." She packed away the remaining items swiftly, then they left the cell. The footsteps clapped along the corridor as they made their way out of the building, each footfall of a ticking second against the countdown in Zach's head. He drew his phone from his pocket. He didn't rouse them before they even reached the exit. Her voice was a welcome anchor in the storm of his thoughts. "Riley, it's me. Our guy had a New York Metro card on, unused, new. His residence is in California. I'm thinking the Metro might be the next target. I'm heading there now." "Got it," Riley said. "There's something else." Almost everyone from the Montrose attack had been accounted for, dead or alive, but two in particular are missing. A pair of Korean nationals known to be as close as brothers. There's a chance they weren't just plants workers, they could have been government agents, maybe North Korean. Damn it, Zach exhaled, tension coiling within him like a spring. "Keep digging and stay safe. Update me the moment you have anything." "Will do. Be careful, Zach." "Always am," he replied through the promise, felt as fragile as a paper shield. The FBI packing garage felt like a mausoleum as Zach and Maya approached the government issue. Sedan, fluorescent lights, hums faintly overhead, casting long shadows across the concrete that seemed to stretch and reach for them as they walked. The air was heavy with exhaust fumes and lingering tension from the discovery of the holding cells. Zach Maya's voice broke the silence, her tone carrying the rare softness that made him pause by the car door. "I think I need to stay here in D.C. He turned to face her, noticing for the first time the strain around her eyes, the determined set of her jaw, even in the stereo light, though there was an undeniable connection binding them. Two soldiers in a war against the clock. "Are you sure? I could really use you in New York." His hand found the cold metals of the car handles, but didn't pull. "Someone has to follow up on Angela Horowitz' trail here," she replied, her fingers brushing against the leather bag that had the dead man's belongings. "And I need to see this through." He nodded, understanding her resolve. Yet he couldn't ignore the reluctance. Pulled in his chest, a silent admission of how much he had come to rely on her insight, even in such a short time. "Man, be careful, Mike," he said earnestly, the words thick with unspoken sentiment. "This is bigger than we thought, and it's not over yet." "Same to you, Zach. Remember, we're just a call away." She offered a tight smile to brave front amidst the brilliant storm. For a moment, neither moved. Their sharing goodbye, hanging between them, a quiet promise. Neither knew if they could keep. Finally, Zach opened the car door and slid behind the wheel. "Take care of D.C. for me," he murmured, starting the engine. "Will do," Mike replied, stepping back as the car pulled away. In the rear view mirror, he saw her finger diminish, but the imprint of her presence lingered, a silent alley in the shadows. Zach watched the other passengers with envy. More homes were either sleeping or starting to scream. Must be nice to take a mental vacation. He thought he knew all too well how further I would be to attempt to do the same. Recalling the prescriptions he filled earlier, he pulled out a pill bottle, unscrewed the cap, and slid a pair of pills into the palm of his hand. He downed them with a swallow of water, then leaned back against his seat. He studied the in-flight safety card tucked into the seat pocket in front of him, tracing the pictures with his eyes as it forced his mind to slow down to wait. He thought of how worried everyone seemed to be about him. He wondered if they were right to worry. Was he pushing himself too hard? He always believed that he could push himself farther, further, and the only limitations he knew were in his mind. But what if that was the very problem? That his limitations were in his mind. He had seen enough fellow veterans go into a tailspin, their PTSD spiraling out of control as the relentless pursuit of their mission slowly consumed him. Had he become one of them men? Was he merely a walking ghost, an echo of his former self? Deep down, Zach had always considered himself different from his comrades. He had seen the same horrors, walked in the same blood-soaked grounds, but he had always been able to distance himself from the atrocities to compartmentalize. But the lines now seemed fuzzier than ever. The nightmares were growing more frequent and avid. Some nights they were so real that he would wake, sweating and disordered, grasping for breath, his pillow soaked with cold sweat, evidence of the internal struggles he was constantly fighting. You gotta keep your mind occupied, he told himself, shaking his mind as if that would dispel his doubt and fears. He pulled up his phone and began researching everything he had found about New York City's nuclear facility, searching for anything that suggested a correlation with Montrose or Dr. Horowitz. As the plane sliced through the sky, however, Zach found himself increasingly unable to separate the past from the present, and as his eyes grew blurry and as he leaned his head back against the seat, his ears were filled not with the hum or the clang or the murmurs of the quiet conversation, but with shouts, the shouts of his dying comrade.